You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Todd Richards here, Roots, Hearts,
and Soul.
You are listening to Roots, Heart, and
Soul. Yeah,
Roots,
baby.
Heart, and Soul podcast.
Stephan and I are launching this podcast based off cookbook Roots, Heart, and Soul by myself, Todd Richards, with a great help from Chef Stephan.
We're going to be hearing stories from Africa all the way to the Caribbean, all the way to the Americas. It's going to be something special.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's up, man?
A rare occasion, home 2 weeks in a row. So,
well, that's a good. That's a good thing.
It's great and grand.
Say grace.
Absolutely.
So what's up, man? Talk to me.
Hey,
how you been? I know you've been.
Sorry.
I know you've been up and down the last couple of weeks with opening some more restaurants.
You know, we had to figure out really how many we did. We did 12 restaurants in 2 years openings.
Wow.
I mean, averaging one per 2 months. That is
that's
unheard of.
That's a lot, man.
And every different type of cuisine. The only cuisine that repeated itself was oysters, oyster houses. And that's the only thing that repeated itself, but everything else was totally different.
So you opened Oyster House where?
In Philadelphia.
Okay.
And then previously we did Rappahannock oysters in IAD, which is Dulles, which is Northern Virginia, which is DC, the DMV,
Right.
But it's back,
So I guess oysters is a popular thing.
They must be. I mean, because we're selling a lot of them, First I thought, if I go to hell, it's going to be in a chicken pit the rest of my life. But now oysters have.
But you know what's funny, man. You know what's funny is even though there's been, even though I know that oysters are available or exist in the warm waters of the Caribbean, it's not very popular.
As in, I mean, yeah, it really doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. So, the southernmost oysters I will eat are in Sapelo Island, next to Savannah, Georgia. You get some in the Gulf oysters, they're much larger and everything like that. But other than that, it has to be cold water, just like mussels, in the same.
It has to be cold water, right?
It has to be cold water, really to understand the flavors, the salinity, the beauty, and things like that. Some are better for grilling, like the Gulf to me is better for grilling in that sense. They're meatier and things like that. Sapelo Island, those oysters have so much plankton and so much chlorophyll on the shell, so you get this really green earthiness out of it. And then you get, of course, to the Northeast, and it's just full salinity. And then West Coast, everyone, Beau Soleil, everyone wants to be French at that point in time when we came up, in the 90s and 2000. Everyone was serving Beau Soleil, oysters. And everything.
So it is a cold water mollusk.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't eat it. I wouldn't eat them outside of that region. I just wouldn't do it.
Because I mean, I've had some fishermen bring me some to the restaurant in Haiti, and
but you all have brackish. But you all have brackish water there too, though, right? Like the water hitting there. So definitely that's a climate though for oysters to go in that brackish water. I mean, we really think about it from that water is actually colder than it is, warm. So that could be possible.
Yeah, I was brought to the restaurant once or twice, and I think I tried it. I think I've tried it once, but but definitely not mussels. That doesn't
Yeah.
exist in warm Caribbean waters.
No, no,
Mussels,
and it shouldn't.
clams, not really available.
Yeah. Wow. Chef Todd Richards, of course, the great Chef Stephan, Roots Art Soul podcast in the early part of October, 2025. I can't believe where this year has gone.
Yes,
You
man. The year has just been running like a bat out of hell. Um, but I have to tell you, the time that I've been spending in Vermont has been really good
I mean,
on
it's
a
oysters right there. I mean, on that coast. So,
on a mental side of
mm,
things,
mm.
because I've gotten to just relax. I have an aunt who is so I want to talk to you about this. So
Okay.
this has been a conversation I've been wanting to have with you.
Okay.
So I have an aunt who is, I wouldn't say a fan, but she is very into everything organic.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's organic and then there's organic from what she says, but she's very much into organic stuff. And she's been, you know, uh, everything she brings into the house, whether it's meats, whether it's whether it's chicken, whether it's vegetables, she makes sure that um, you know we're eating super organic in the house.
Okay.
Now, the organic movement hasn't started today,
No.
okay? Because when we talk about the farm to table movement, it is the organic movement.
Partly, yes, but yeah,
Partly.
yeah, partly.
So how would you categorize that? How do you
You know,
define that?
that's a great question. As we sit on the heels of open curiosity and really talking about, us being farm to table and things like that, that anything that that grows naturally without chemicals to me is just natural, growth. And then you have the organic. Organic, in our country has to be certified, which I get it, from a consumer standpoint, they were certified organic, which means that there's a lot of people out there doing some really terrible stuff in the soil that you have to certify something. But the thing is that something being natural, using natural fertilizers and things like that compared to something that's organic using organic fertilizers, I don't know, and especially in this economy, that we can justify the cost for
Right.
those items. But secondly, though, the way your aunt is talking about that she grows food and everything like that, um, that to me is natural, and that might be a better way. Also, I'm just going to add this right quick before we further on, is that the life expectancy of people before 1930, well, before the early 1900s, is only 40 years old, and they were eating everything organic at
Right.
that time. Then Industrial Revolution cabin, and then we had all these preservatives and things like that, happening and things like that. So there is no proof in our, you know, generations that organic is necessarily the best way, but there is proof that natural is a much better way. Knowing that A, you know where your food comes from, B, you probably grew some of it yourself, and C, you could supplement it with an organic diet, but not necessarily have to have one.
Right. Right.
And then the selfishness of about it, though, that you and I talked about this before, is that why do you think you can get watermelon and tomatoes year round?
Mm.
I mean,
Because
is
we
that
figured
that
out
is privilege?
that is privileged. Why not just get it when it's when it's readily available and just in season.
But whose fault is that, though, Stefan? I mean, whose fault is that? That
I think it's consumer driven. I think it's consumer driven. I think we demand. It's like we tend to demand things that, oh, we want to have this now, or we want to have this at this particular time. Whereas, why don't we enjoy what the soil is able to? I mean, listen, this is the way I grew up in Haiti. Um, you get watermelon when watermelon's in season, and you get
absolutely correct.
you know
Yeah.
you get cantaloupe, you get watermelon, you get when those things are in season. You get sour sop when it's in season. Uh, you don't try to alter the the growth of 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 fruits and vegetables and other stuff when it's not their time to grow.
Well, I mean, but it makes sense though, even in that area though, that you can grow peppers, onions, and all that stuff maybe year round. But some things need higher heat, some things need different things,
That's right.
and to grow it properly. I often, say that if somebody gets a bucket, put soil in it and plant tomatoes, you'll understand how to learn growth of tomatoes. You can understand how to learn growth of everything because you can put those on your back porch. A little bit of fertilizer in there. Put basil next to it while the Italians got it right because basil naturally grows next to
Next to
to tomatoes. And
one of the things that I've discovered while I was in Haiti is this hydroponic style of growing
mhm,
um, fruits and vegetables and herbs.
mm,
Um, Absolutely very natural, but beautifully done with compost and just natural soil. And this guy, I had this guy who used to provide these beautiful Boston lettuce, or
mm,
Caesar lettuce,
yeah.
for Caesar salads that were
Romaine, yeah,
that
yeah,
romaine that
yeah.
was just amazing.
But it makes sense though because those vegetables are mostly water. I mean, lettuce is mostly water, and then also the minerals that come from the soil around there, the volcanic soil that once was there. I mean, that just. But are we spoiled though? I mean, are we?
I think
I
we
mean,
are. I think we are. I think we're a little bit spoiled. I think as we tend to not want to wait for things. We tend to want to have things now. We tend to um, um, I don't know, man. I think in a certain way um, we are spoiled. We tend to, we don't. I think we've lost the enjoyment of the enjoyment, if that makes any sense.
we'll go a little deeper in that because I know what you're saying, but I believe that our listeners, Roots Art
If
Soul
that makes any
podcast.
sense, I
Yeah.
think that if that makes any sense, I think we've lost. And when we have a conversation with Tia
And Matthew, yeah,
uh,
Rayford.
and Matthew,
Mhm.
when we talk about their farm and how they're growing things, I think they enjoy the moment of when that product is readily available, and when it's not, they're enjoying something else. And I think what we've lost is the enjoyment of that particular moment. We're
But let me ask you. Let me ask you this in a different way. How much of it is shame? How much of it is shame from from the time we arrived in this country or arrived in the Caribbean and even South America, that, tilling the soil, understanding those roots and those deep roots of agriculture, how much is it shame that we're bringing to the table when we don't enjoy those things?
I don't I, I don't know. I don't know. That's a very pointed question that demands some analysis, because I think the I don't know if the shame is from where we were before to where we are now, to where we are so eager into things that we can't seem to enjoy. It's like we don't even enjoy the moment of the experience. It's like there's no more enjoyment of the experience. It's like we want it now, we want it every day, we want it every other day, we want it, and it's like, well, what's the enjoyment in that?
I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, culturally, fried chicken was on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Hogs,
So you look forward to that. So you look
right,
forward to that. You look forward to
right.
that fried chicken. You look forward to being with family and enjoying that 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 chicken that your mother and grandmother slaved all day in the kitchen preparing. And as a kid, and even as an adult, you were looking forward to that. But now that I can have it every day, so what?
I mean, not only so what, environmentally, I mean, what are we doing to the environment, in order to produce these things in high masses?
that
I, you know,
that and that
I,
and that's a detriment to a lot of different things, which is, you know, and it don't taste the same. That watermelon at the right time, at the right temperature, at the right season, at the right, and when you cut into that watermelon and drop a little sea salt on that, it don't taste the same as if you were eating watermelon in December. What the
no, it
hell?
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It don't taste the same. I don't give a. I don't care what you say.
But how do
Okay.
but how do, in that same topic though, how do we take the seeds out of, because spitting the seeds out was part of the ritual as well, and that and it's like getting somebody's, everyone, selling, oh, this seedless watermelon seed, like, when did seeds become part of the shame of the culture? Like, spitting those seeds out was, there was so much, like, little bit of meat around the seeds, they had
Absolutely.
pockets, you
Absolutely.
know Man,
Listen, man.
cantaloupe and honeydew don't. You have to just, people cut around it, but it's like we pull the stringy part of the cantaloupe or honeydew out. It was so succulent, and things like that. Yeah.
I remember growing up, man. I remember growing up in Haiti, and at my great aunt's house, there used to be this huge, I mean, huge apricot tree that took over a big part of the property, right? And my uncles and aunts, when apricot was in season, used to cut that up and, have a beautiful bowl of fruit salad with apricots in there, fresh apricots. Man, I can't tell you how I look forward to the next year.
Right. Right.
I would look forward to the next year because apricot became my favorite thing. Um, you know, oh, we'd go near the beach, and we'd have, there's, you know, I don't know the name in English, but it's a
Mm.
small little green. It's like a green apple,
Okay.
sort of a green apple,
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's got little tiny little thing on there, and then when you cut it open, oh my God, man! And you had to wait. You had to wait for the season to be able to enjoy, and you look forward to that. And when the season was over, you look forward to something else. Um, you know, mangoes is a big thing in the Caribbean,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I
and
mean,
and not all mangoes grow in the same season.
neither papayas. I mean, definitely they don't grow the same season in the same way. So
I mean, I don't know, and you know, it's just so she's got me eating a bunch. She's got me eating organic. You
mm,
know, the other day she brought some lamb that was from Vermont.
yeah, beautiful
Very,
local
very
man.
local,
Well,
really good, really good. And um, I discovered these little itty bitty apples, these cran apples.
yeah, yeah.
So I just did some
Currant apples or
jam
crab apple or crab apples.
crab apples.
Oh, crab apples. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're tiny little things.
yeah. Mm,
They, you know, small little apple.
mm,
So this guy, we were driving back from Canada, and this guy was I guess was trimming the tree,
mm,
and there was a farmer's sort of small farmers market right in the same house and stuff,
mm.
and all you have to do is you choose whatever you want, and there's like a little bucket where you put your money in there, and it says pay as you feel is fair.
You're right. Yeah.
So we bought a bunch of tomatoes. You know, um, we bought I don't know, we bought eggplants,
Mm.
we bought squash, we bought zucchini, and bro, I made this amazing ratatouille
Oh
the other
wow,
day.
wow.
Um, it was just no meat, no nothing in there.
All right.
Just it was absolutely amazing, man.
I mean, just
So
beautiful. I mean, fresh vegetables. Yeah,
fresh vegetables,
man.
you know,
Yeah.
and you don't do too much to it, you know.
Again, Charlie Charter always said it best. You know, he said he was the best chef in the world because he bought the best ingredients and did nothing to them. You know, and I believe that is the true hallmark of being great. You know, as a chef, you know, and I know we're pivoting here some, but as a chef, I don't think people understand the process of selecting, you know, foods and food ways in order to find the best. And the best doesn't mean that it's expensive. And I believe there's a really
No,
confusion in
no,
that argument that the best has to be the most expensive.
no. I think there is a confusion about that. We think, you know, everything. We think. I think it's the definition of the best that we tend to stick to, and not what really the essence of the best is. I think the essence of the best is good quality, doesn't have, you know, and it's made and grown with, you know, naturally without any effort. And I think for me that's what I call the best. And I got to tell you, I tasted those vegetables. I mean, all I did was saute in a little bit of, you know, EVOO and butter, and it was just downright amazing, man.
You know, I mean, I look at the thing like second tomatoes, you know, those bruised tomatoes or those bruised peaches, and everyone wants to discard them. But everyone knows like those are the best peaches to make peach cobbler. You know, those spots of sugar that gets caramelized from the bruising. You know, if you make one tomato sauce, why do you need the perfect tomato to make tomato sauce? You need the
You
one that's
don't.
bruised, that's juicy, that's splitting
You
and all that stuff
don't.
in order to make those things, the best as well. And I really don't think that people understand that seconds and sometimes even thirds are better for sauces or longer cooking. And if you're going to slice something fresh, that's when you get the first.
That's right. That's right. Um, Another thing that I found myself doing while I'm in. Let me see if I can share it with you. Another thing that I found myself doing, my friend, uh,
In the great state of Vermont.
the great state of Vermont, is I'm reading.
Oh, okay.
So the other day I go into a Barnes and Noble, actually looking for our book, and in the midst of looking for our book, I fell into uh, uh, Kwame's book,
Okay.
the Diary of a Young Black Chef.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. You know, it at first I was a little adamant about it because young chef, you're not even 40 years old yet, and you're talking about writing your memoir. Found that a little kind of a weird into a conversation. I mean, you
Okay.
haven't lived yet. You haven't lived yet. So how are you writing your memoir already? But he's got some very interesting he shares some very interesting things. Um, and I think it's important that you know somebody like you, somebody like me, should definitely think about um, writing a book like that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you know when you have a lot of success at a young age, and then you have a downfall at a young age, it's really, it is something to share. I mean, consider that now his restaurants in, the top 50 North American restaurants,
Right,
uh,
right.
you know, when we think about it from that standpoint, that, there is success, to be opening a restaurant in Vegas on the strip,
That is
says something,
success. That is
says,
success.
it says, to host family reunion, for, X amount of straight years. And every chef, of culture wants to go and participate in it. There is success,
That
but there's a lot of things behind there that people don't understand, you know, that the amount of work, um,
that it takes
right, and luck. I mean, it
and
is
luck.
some, and luck, but hard work brings great luck. I always be, you know, an advocate of that.
And
The
and
more times you swing a bat at a baseball, that blooper is always going to be,
yeah.
you know. So, I get what you're
But you got
saying.
but you got to keep swinging. But you got to keep swinging.
Absolutely. But memoirs are great, but also what we're doing here on Roots Our Soul podcast, Heritage Radio Network. We're sharing, things that in real time what is happening. Where a book, as and I know, can take 2-3 years, to be produced and out to the public. And so we have to look at our heroes. And definitely Kwame is a hero to a lot of chefs of all backgrounds, but I would definitely say focusing on the African diaspora, that he is really paving a way for critical analysis of Black culture, critical analysis of Black food, but also should also give a standard to what Black culture is through the excellence of food we serve, and not be pigeonholed to just one aspect of saying we're soul food, Southern barbecue,
Yeah.
that we are way more farther, advanced than just what, certain media wants to say we are.
But I'm going to tell you what pleases me even more. Is yes, I'm extremely pleased to see the success that's been coming lately to a lot of us, and when I say us, black and brown chefs, black and brown um, um, talents in the food and beverage space. I'm very pleased to see what's been happening, but I'm also pleased to see, even more than that, is the fact that um, in a lot of these kitchens, whether it be Marcus Samuelson, whether it be Kwame, whether it be um, a few other chefs that I've been researching lately, they are prioritizing, or they are bringing it forward for other black chefs to be part of their projects.
It would be irresponsible, when
And that pleases me quite even more.
when Amy Condon and I, really started on Roots Heart Soul, then brought you in for it. I wanted to bring in. I did not want to write that book saying that I was the expert on every subject from West Africa to the Caribbean, through the South, up to New York, Chicago, through Texas, and out west. I wanted to bring in the experts of those regions to tell that story and tell their story in order to show that we're not a monolith of food culture. And so it is irresponsible to exclude the people that you're talking about and the food that you're cooking out of the conversation. Secondly, in business, everyone here, knows that it's hard as hell to open a restaurant. Where most people get their money for restaurants in the mob pirate is equity in homes. But our population and even our brown population don't have total access or the dollars to even own a home to get equity in there. So when you have the opportunity to further the causes of people, and then to spell away the disproportionate comments of pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Uh, that's all fine and well, but who made the damn bootstraps? Is the question. And are we, you know, allowing people to help people to make more bootstraps, or are we just going to carry one boot and tie our own bootstraps, and then that's it? And that cannot be the outcome. It's never should have been the outcome for food and beverage, especially when we're involved, and especially when we have great mentors. I saw someone on Instagram, asking us about Patrick Clark and his son, as well. And when you think about what Patrick Clark did for New York with Tavern on the Green, how he developed an entire culture of food where people like myself in Chicago and then in Atlanta was looking at him as mentorship and guidance, where Dale Evans, who was here in Atlanta, of course, who taught myself, Dwayne, and a host of other chefs, Daryl Schuler, certified master chef. We did not gatekeep these things. And if we get to a point where we're gatekeeping, then don't ask for our survival of food ways to move forward.
No, no, I think I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think the worst thing that we can do to ourselves is to gatekeep. If we will never be, and I hate using these words, but we will never be the equal of our counterpart if we consistently close the door to those of us just like us, and instead of pulling somebody up with you, you close the door.
Well, I mean, what is our legacy built on? Is our legacy built on, you look at,
and we will never build a
Thomas
legacy that way.
You look at Thomas Keller, right? And you have, Jonathan Bendel came out of his, Corey Lees came out of his kitchen. You have all these chefs came out of their kitchen, and they talk about that. I mean, what is legacy built on? Look at the restaurants they opened after coming out of their kitchen. Look at, Zeppi, when he talk about everyone who comes out of Noma. And he say, oh, you worked at Noma and, you get the opportunity to get funding and all that stuff. So it can't be just us holding it for ourselves if you really want to create a true legacy. Now, if you're not interested in that and you just want to do that, and then at the end of your time on this earth, you walk away, that's fine, but our legacy is not built in only what we open or the money or the monetary value or likes and everything. Our legacy is about the cooks that came out of our kitchen who went on to do great things and serve delicious food and honor us in the dishes that they make. And that's it. Yeah. Anything other than that, there's no legacy in that, which makes this, very, difficult. Something that you and I want to talk about today was that, what's happening to the restaurants in our own neighborhood? Why are they going away? Where are they going? Who's coming in, taking these spaces? Who's cooking these spaces?
That's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. But why is it that a lot of the mom and pops, a lot of the black-owned restaurants are disappearing? I mean, we have, it's like, yeah, we have a few great restaurants that are opening, but Marcus just opened 2 more restaurants. Kwame just opened another restaurant. But at the same time, we're seeing a lot of restaurants disappearing as well, and more disappearance than openings.
And it's happening, everywhere. I mean, it's happening everywhere. I mean, restaurant closing is happening everywhere. Disproportionately, it's happening in our neighborhood. One thing that you and I talked about, tremendously is real estate, and that the fact that we don't own these buildings that we have these restaurants in. And Starbucks just recently, said they're closing 90 stores, and people are like, why would they close them? And so you have to understand that, that in real estate and in zoning, they're required to have a certain amount of food in these high-rise buildings in proximity to those areas, right? The easiest food or restaurant type to open is a coffee shop. That requires no hood system, requires a smaller grease trap, requires less employees, less physical inventory. And then so after 10 years, when that lease is up and the tax incentives are gone and the rent incentives are gone and they go up on the rent, 25 to 35%, what's the incentive for someone to stay in that location?
There is none. There is none. You're not going to make any money either.
Right. And the cost of living has gone up, on average 3%. So by the time you get there, you got 30% rise in the cost of living. You have no tax incentives, and then you lost all that part of the culture of the neighborhood. But that's where the real estate, the zoning, and these things are not making sense into it. So you think about us as having mom and pop neighborhoods who either might have had the real estate or been renting. The property taxes have gone up over X amount of time in those years. So the cost of everything has gone up. However, what are we selling this food for? Why are we still selling this food at the same prices from 10 years ago? I mean, that is a problem.
But is that because it's a lack of is because it's a lack of knowledge, or is it because we're scared to scale up as well and say, well, the cost of living is going up, the cost of real estate is going up, the cost of rent is going up, the cost of
Labor.
of food, the cost of labor is going up, the cost of food is going up. So I got to go up too. I don't have a choice. if I'm to survive, I have to go up too. Um, you're talking about things that are disappearing. I have there's this young chef who I'm very fond of in New York who had his Trinidadian restaurant. Nothing too big, but he's had to close, and the biggest reason is rent.
Yeah.
The biggest reason is the cost of rent. Even in neighborhoods in the middle of Brooklyn, you would think that the rent would maybe be a little bit lower to allow small business to thrive, but that's not certain. That's certainly not the case.
I mean, basic economy of restaurant business, 10% below, is rent structure. Anytime you get above 10%, I mean, you're already at a point that you can probably think that you're going to break even, unless you have some other ways of cutting labor and things like that, and the infrastructure of those things have to be done. I mean, I talk to people about this all the time that, hey, I think about this place. Okay, what is your revenue model? I'm going to do, 1.2 million. What's your rent? It's 15 grand a month. Okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, that's not going to work. I mean, that's, 1.6, but you're going to do 11.5% rent. That's not going to work. You know, it just doesn't. And then the property taxes on top of it, because property taxes used to not be included in leases for uh, for rents, and now we're paying property taxes as well, which really hurts the environment of restaurant business.
Are we? So now the property tax is tagged on to the rent.
Yeah, everything's triple net. Yes, you pay property tax, city tax, and your portion. Every tenant pays a portion of the property taxes of the restaurant.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man. So
Yep.
so in your opinion, what is the model that's going to make sense?
Second generation restaurants, are the best. Even though landlords give you TI, tenant improvement, for the restaurants, in the beginning, you can't recover all those things. Such as if your place closes, you can't take the hood system with you. You can't take the grease trap with you. You can't take
No,
the AC unit
no.
with you. And it's covered in TI. But initially, most of the time, you have to have that capital first, and the landlord will reimburse you. So if you think you have $250,000 in TI, you have to have $250,000 already to build those things out, and it's there. So second generation would mean that the restaurant has those things equipped.
Already
Yeah,
have those
right,
things already set up, so
right.
that
So
you don't
your
have to make
capital
that kind
raise,
of
right.
investment.
Yeah, so you don't have to make that kind of investment. So the capital raise is actually smaller. Second generation means that, also means that there was a restaurant there before that people are somewhat familiar with. Now, for whatever reason why they closed, they are familiar with the location. And I would definitely recommend that. And then thirdly, it's just really, you know, the systems, the POS system is set up in a great place. The wiring, but people don't understand. Like we have to put in the lo-fi wiring for like internet, to hook up the POS system, your phone systems, and all that stuff. All that stuff costs money. If it's already in that restaurant, now
Oh
you may not
yeah,
be in the
oh
exact
yeah,
location, but you can extend it. And then
oh
plumbing. I
yeah.
mean, water systems, where the bathroom is, all that stuff. Thirdly about it though is that it already passed health inspection and building code inspection. So now it's a faster way, to get to those things because the inspectors have already approved that, in the plans before. So if anyone wants to do it, second gen is the way to go. It's like buying a used car. The depreciation on a new car is a lot different than the depreciation of a used car. Yeah. And that's the way I would tell everyone to approach it.
Uh, yeah, yeah. That's some very good. That's some very good advice. That's some very good advice to anybody in general that wants to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of time we want to open things without having a deeper understanding of what it takes to get it done, or what it's going to
Yeah.
cost to get it done, and the effort that you're going to have to the amount of effort output you're going to have to put out to accomplish a project like this.
I mean, one thing I always tell people, hey, you go open a restaurant, just, DM me, DM you, just give us the basic understanding what it is. And let's just give you some quick.
Opening a
Yeah.
restaurant in partnership with a hotel,
Yeah.
that's even a better deal.
Yeah.
You
I mean, I tell, just reach out to us and let's give you 5 minutes of advice. Just look at the model. If it makes sense, then go for it. But I've opened a lot of restaurants. I've closed some of my own restaurants. Like we said at the beginning of this episode of Roots Heart Soul podcast or Heritage Radio Network, that we've done 12 restaurants in 2 years, and not
Shit.
just on the same city. I'm talking about from Atlanta, LA, 2 in DC, Philadelphia, Newark. So we went from one coast to the other coast.
And you currently have what under your portfolio about 20 some odd restaurants. 16. That's
Yeah.
a lot. That's a lot.
All different cuisines. So it's not like, I'm not saying that I know, we know everything, but
No,
we know a lot.
no, we certainly don't. But we know quite a bit. But we know quite a bit. We've experienced quite a bit, and that knowledge can be valuable to anyone who wants to get into this business.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got a few more minutes here, Stephan. Let's talk about the rest of this year. Because like it's October.
Listen, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to define the beginning of this year.
Right.
Let alone to see what the end is going to look like. The only thing I can tell you is we've got a few things on the fire.
Yeah.
That are coming up that we'll be announcing soon. We are working on a few things for the month of November. I know you and me.
Yeah.
I'm certainly excited about what's coming up.
I mean, we can talk about it. We have that Curiosity opening here in McDonough, Georgia. We have a great push for Amazon. We're partnering with Amazon for our spice line.
Absolutely.
For the fall season. We're going to pair it with the books, Roots, Heart, Soul, and Soul.
And then we have Creole Food Festival coming in November and in Atlanta as well.
Yeah. So
I think to close out the year, that should be more than enough. I think our big focus is going to be on Curiosity and making it the amazing restaurant that it should be.
Absolutely.
Bringing a different kind of barbecue to the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I know this is going to be an amazing project because not only because of the people that's involved in it, and this is going to be your baby, and I think people are going to be amazingly surprised at what's going to be on the menu and so forth. And I love the fact that you define the restaurant the way you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tagline is Southern Influence Barbecue Inspired.
That's exactly that. I love those two words.
Yeah,
I love those two words. That should tell you that should tell you that there's going to be a whole lot of soul and a
Yeah.
whole lot of
Yeah, it's crazy, to think about because I'm going back to my roots, from my dad and cooking. Also going back to my roots of working with Chef Evans, uh, and then the hotel, being in the Ritz, running Five Diamond Restaurant, and I love everyone who does barbecue on those metal trays with the paper
hmm
lining and that.
hmm
But this ain't gonna be it,
this ain't going to be it, baby.
no, no, we're
No,
just doing, yeah, Ric
yeah,
Flair restyling,
with
profiling,
flair, with style
yeah,
and profile. And I like, see, I like when you
yeah,
talk like that.
yeah.
We're gonna put a lot of flair into.
What's great though is that out here, that where we are in the south suburb, is that there's so many good commercial chain restaurants out here, and people love them, but also there's an independence out here that needs to be cultivated in the higher end realm. Certainly, we have it.
Uh-huh.
We have brunch, we have great breakfast places, we have great burger places. You know, Great Mexican restaurants. And, even though Atlanta has some of the worst Chinese food, I would say, coming from Chicago, eating in San Francisco, St. Louis, and New York, our Chinese food game is not there yet, but it's getting there. There's a couple of places I've seen popped up recently that, you know, you know, people out here want something a little bit different that they don't have to drive all the way to the city for.
Yeah.
And it's my job and it's my pleasure to do it for the community. I live out here, so I wanted a
Well,
place where the cool kids can hang out.
I love, listen, I love the community or the area where you live in the outskirts of Atlanta. And I think that community is ready for something like this.
Yeah,
From everything that I've seen driving around with you, um, and the area where we're gonna be putting, where we have curiosity, opening up soon. I think this area is ready for something like this. So
absolutely.
I think
It's ready. I'm ready. As I get into my later years here, I tell people, tomorrow ain't promised, so I need to cook today.
no,
Mm,
no. But and I'm gonna tell you something though, man. And I'm
mm,
gonna tell you something. The last few weeks, um, going to the market, looking at great great products. There is some, you know, I have I am wanting more and more to cook.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
I'm forcing myself to stand up, even on my fragile legs.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm cooking, man. The other day, what did I do? Um, Even my aunt was all excited about bringing it to one of her clients.
Mhm.
Um, oh, I made some one of my favorite Peruvian dishes called
Mhm.
lomo saltado.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful cut of ribeye sliced up, uh, sautéed very quickly with onion, peppers, um, and also with some people do it with fingerling potatoes. The right recipe is with fries. It is all
Mhm.
put together, with a light soy sauce. Very, very good. Um, I'm having fun cooking these
Yeah,
past few weeks, man. Um, did the lamb the other day. Um, so I'm excited about curiosity, man. It's
I think the one dish that I'm really, and I'll get in next week so we can make it for R&D is the lamb necks. We're cutting the lamb necks
I
and we're braising them like oxtails, though. Marinating them, Scotch bonnet,
ooh,
little allspice, all that stuff.
ooh.
We're gonna braise it,
Okay,
and then we're serving it with a sweet potato
I,
chutney, and then some
I'm on
beautiful
my way.
just Parker House rolls, on the
I'm on
side.
my way. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a sort of a cool speakeasy kind of a conversation today. We're getting into close to the hour. We've finally announced Curiosity, but you guys got to stay plugged in because Curiosity is coming on a very serious note. This is going to be
Very,
something. This is going to be
very.
something special. This is going to be something special, and I want you all to experience the love that Chef Todd is putting into this place, and I'm proud to be part of this project with him. Um, so stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned, most definitely. And next week, I'm happy to announce a dear friend of mine that you also know very well, Chef. He goes by the Rum Chef. He's been off the grid for a while. He's sort of I won't say semi-retired because that would not do him justice. But he's been on the low key, more on the food and beverage side of things. He is a chef that I love very much. He's a chef that I call my brother as well. He's going to be Chef Paul Yellen is with us next week, man.
Wow, that's great.
Chef
That's
Paul
great.
Yellen is with us next week, so we're going to have a great conversation.
Yes. Yeah,
A rum.
it's not a regular bottle of rum. We need that 15
No,
year.
no, no. We
Need
we
that
go. We
15
get.
year.
Yeah. We're gonna have to bring out the a serious bottle rum for this conversation. So
Absolutely.
Tune in next week, guys. Join us again on Roots Heart and Soul podcast. We are Chef Todd and Chef Stephan. We love to have you with us. Thank you for your support, your continued support. We have had so much fun starting this podcast and the level of conversation we've had and the level of talents that we've had, the level of chefs that we've had, and we're going to continue bringing those things to you. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to like us, subscribe our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media. See you next Tuesday.
Give a shout out to all my family who's put up with me being gone for so long, 155 days on the road.
But that's because we love you, man. That's
I'm
because,
home.
goddamn it, we love you, man.
And everyone is waiting for me to leave, but I am not going no damn where. So,
God damn it, we love you, man. And you need to stay put.
Yeah, stay put for a minute, right?
It's time for you to stay put for a minute.
I will for sure. You're listening to Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network.